Chops.
Oh, down there. Okay. Well, thank you for having me. It's my pleasure to be in Taiwan again, and it's my pleasure for being able to talk to you today about U.S. beef.
谢谢各位，我能够再次的被邀请来台湾。然后今天呢，我要跟各位介绍一些不同的美国牛肉的这个分切。
And so today I'm going to talk about probably some cuts that some of you are already familiar with, and do some cutting, some demonstration on how you utilize these cuts from the U.S.
好，今天我会做一些这个分切实际的示范啊，也许各位很多对这个我要介绍的分切已经很熟悉。
And so just quickly before we start the cutting demonstration, I'll give you a little bit of the history and the background on how the U.S. has moved from maybe a more traditional cutting style to utilizing some of the cuts that I'll demo today.
在我开始分切的示范之前呢，向各位报告一些这个历史啊，这个美国牛肉分切怎么样从一个比较老的传统的进到一个新的分切的方式。
So years ago, when we first started, fabricating or cutting the beef carcass, much of it was done for the sake of simplicity, to make it more easy on the butchers to cut up the carcass.
在早期的这个分切哈，它这个最主要的目的就是让分切的人能够更容易的来分切，所以基本上是为了这个作业的人的这个着想。
And so when you take the forequarter of the beef carcass or the beef chuck, what they would do is they would cut slices off the entire chuck that would be a single cut that would have multiple different muscles inside of it.
所以以这个肩胛的部分为例啊，在早期的这个分切就是把它重切成一片一片的那这每一个分切的部位里面都含了很多块不同的肌肉。
And so a lot of that carcass would be utilized as a roast type item, a large piece of meat that is really not ideal for probably many of the applications that you would use the products for today.
所以呢，就是因为这种分切的方式，每一块大块的这个肩胛的分切呢，这个大概最好的用途就是烤肉，而没有办法去适合各种不同的这个需要。
And because of that, those cuts were also much lower value. There was much less of a price that you could charge customers for a cut that really could only be cooked or used in one or two different ways.
所以就是因为这个用途的这个比较稀少，所以相对的价格也是比较低廉你就没有办法，因为它的用途有限，你没有办法把这个不同的这个分切的部位的价格提高。
And so probably in the last 15 to 20 years in the United States, beef packers realized that if you take the chuck primal in a beef carcass and start pulling out the individual muscles, then there is some muscles in that carcass that are extremely tender, have great flavor, and can be utilized in more of a steak type application than they could in a roast type application.
好，在过去10到20年的时间呢，美国的牛肉的业者就发现，如果你对这个肩胛从以往的分切进步到针对不同的肌肉，你能够把它分离出来，发现在肩胛的部位有很多的肌肉，要么就是超级的柔软，要么就是风味很好很好。
And so now more of these cuts can be merchandised as boneless cuts instead of bone-in. And we can also merchandise these muscles as more of a steak type item, which is going to be higher value and thus can create more value for the entire carcass.
好，所以肩胛肉的这个商品化就从传统的大概只能够大块的烤肉进步到很多不同的这个肌肉的部位，我们都可以用排餐的方式来处理，这样子当然也大幅的提高了它的这个利用价值。
So if you look at this cut on the screen, this is a cut that was very popular in the U.S. with probably my parents' generation, and is I think the retail name for it is a 7-bone pot roast.
这一块鸡肉就是传统的分切方式的鸡肉，它的名字叫做，因为它的这个肩胛骨有一个7字，所以叫 7 bone 的这个 roast 啊，这是最传统的啊。这个 Dr. Arp 特别讲，他父母的那个年代就是这样子的分切。
And this is just a big, thick piece of beef that is sliced off of the chuck with no regard to the muscles that are in there, how you're cutting that. It's just a big piece of beef that you would slow cook with moist cookery for 3 or 4 hours, and then you eat it.
这块肉就是很简单，肩胛部分拿来了，就是一刀横切下去。切下去以后呢，因为它很厚。所以你的处理就是用湿热的方式煮3、4个小时，也没有别的方法来。当然，它的利用价值相对的就偏低。
But if you look at this picture, you can see that there's some muscles represented in this cut that you would probably be more familiar with today. So this cut number 2 up there would be the top blade muscle.
但是各位请看这一个图哈，这个 7 bone steak 这个 roast 的图，看到第2的位置就是大家所最熟悉的板腱的这个所在。
You've got the underblade muscle represented in there, or something like a chuck flap or a chuck flap tail. You've got this muscle, which is the chuck eye, or is what's used in the Delmonico steak.
好，第5的话就是大家熟悉的哈，这个是肩胛衬底的板肉啊，或者等一下这个 demo 就会。那另外呢，第7就是这个肩胛肋眼的这个新的肉。
So if you're selling this piece of meat with all of those delicious good muscles in there, and you're not separating them out to be utilized individually, you're going to lose money because there's a lot of value that's in that piece of meat that could be pulled out individually and merchandised as separate muscles versus as one big piece of meat.
所以这一块肉，如果你整块卖的话，这个实际上价格就很低。如果能够把我们刚刚特别介绍的，像板腱啦、衬底的这个板肉啊，这些如果都能够分开来卖的话，它的价值就会大幅的提高。
And we've realized this across the entire carcass. Once we started with the chuck, then the industry started looking at the entire carcass, and is there a way that we can better cut the carcass to get more value and isolate really high quality muscles to merchandise?
OK， 从刚刚肩胛的例子呢，我们就把整个牛的屠体放出来，在其他不同的部位，是不是也有像我们刚刚介绍的？对特殊的肌肉，我们可以单独的把它分切出来啊，那能够有充分的利用，也提高这个肉的这个价值。
And so these are cuts that would be very popular 30 years ago. You've got rib roast and an entire short loin. You've got a top sirloin steak, a gooseneck round. These are all cuts that were very popular during kind of the original cutting and fabricating style.
这些现在秀出来的是30年前很流行的哈，有整块的肩胛肉，有整块的腰肌，有整块的肋肌，这个都是以前的流行的这个30年前流行的肉。
And while we do still cut some carcasses and pull out the cuts I just talked about, now we see many of these new cuts like chuck eye rolls. Short ribs. This is a top sirloin cap, which these are cuts that I'll demonstrate here in a few minutes.
好，那现在的新的分切的方式呢，大家可能也很熟悉。我们刚刚介绍的有这个肩胛的这个胸肌的这个卷，然后呢有这个不同的像这个沙朗盖肉啦。这一些新的大家所熟悉的分切的肉。
But a tremendous amount of research in the United States went into looking at all of these individual muscles and doing testing on them to figure out how tender they are, how much marbling they have, what consumers think of the palatability of these muscles to determine if there's really the value there to go into that carcass and pull those muscles out one by one.
OK， 在美国有很多的研究，针对现在这种新的分切的趋势所出来的肌肉，针对它的嫩度，针对肉的多汁性，它的这个脂肪的含量，还有它的适口性，还有消费者的接受度这一方面做了很多的研究。
And one of the real positives of that is that many of these cuts have now become very popular export items to where we realize the value and the quality of these cuts in the United States, and now we're sending those to our overseas customers because many of our customers, not only in Taiwan but all over the world, realize that there is some really good eating quality with some of these new secondary cuts.
那在美国把这个开发出来，做了研究，去肯定了这个肉以后呢，在美国的这个牛肉的这个业界就开始把这些的肉推广到全世界，介绍给世界各国的消费者希望大家也能够接受这种很好的新的分切的这个牛肉。
All right, so with that, we'll jump right into the cutting. We've got, I think, 5 or 6 different muscles that we're going to demo here this afternoon. And so, with that, let's grab some knives and jump into it.
好，那我们现在就开始今天分切的这个示范。我们今天大概有4、5块的肉哈，这个在各位的讲义里面都有，我们就开始今天肉的示范。
So the first cut that we're going to talk about is the tri-tip. This is a cut that comes from the bottom sirloin on kind of the hind quarter of the beef carcass.
好，我们首先要示范的这第一块的肉哈，这个各位在你们的讲义里面有，就是沙朗的嫩尖肉。那它是下腰肌所分切出来的这个嫩尖肉。
And so this is a cut that is becoming extremely popular in the United States because it is extremely tender. It has pretty good marbling, but as you can see from the cut here, there's not a lot of external or surface fat associated with it. So it's you get that marbling on the inside, but there's not a lot of fat on the exterior of the cut.
OK， 这一块肉哈，这个嫩尖肉在美国十分的这个大家都很喜欢。那各位可以看得到哈，从荧幕上可以看得到这一块肉来讲很嫩，然后呢，它的 marbling 就是它里面所谓的这个雪花肌肉内的脂肪的量很高，但是在它的外表并没有很多的脂肪的覆盖。
And really, it's an extremely versatile cut. You can see that because there's not a lot of surface fat on it. When you import these, when you're buying these, there's not a lot that you have to do with them. You really just kind of have to go in there and you can trim off some of this surface fat that's on there. But after that, there's really not a whole lot else you have to do in terms of preparation.
好，在这个准备上，因为它外面覆盖的脂肪相对的很少，所以各位实际拿到这块肉以后，你要做的事情不多，就是很简单的把外面一些覆盖的脂肪把它移除就好了。
So there's just a little bit of light kind of silver skin or connective tissue that's on the surface. You can go in there and kind of trim that out, as well as some of this additional surface fat here.
外表的脂肪，外表简单的这些的筋膜哈，就很快的把它拿掉。
And then in terms of preparation for a cut like this, you can serve or you can cook this product a lot of different ways.
那这个在蒸煮的方式哈，有很多种不同的这个蒸煮的方式，大家可以用。
More often than not, in the United States, this is a product that you would just cook it exactly like this, as a whole muscle cut without doing any additional slicing or anything like that. You can put it on a grill and cook it on a kind of a high heat grill, or you can put it in an oven or like at a low temperature, kind of a low and slow application, and roast it like that.
好，这个首先介绍的是，你可以整块的就处理。整块的处理呢，你可以用烤肉，或者用相对比较低温的烤箱，整块鸡肉放进去烤。
And you'll notice that on these slides, I did put some kind of relative prices. These are the wholesale prices in the U.S. That these sell for. So just kind of helps give you an idea of the type of value that some of these cuts are going to have.
各位这个右手边的这个幻灯片里面呢，他把这一块肉哈，这个嫩角尖肉的这个价格。也把它放进去了，这个是你看看，是2018年3月19号的价格，每一磅是3.35美金。
And so if you switch over to the next slide for me, please, and hit that, yeah, one more time. So one thing that you can see on this muscle is that it's called a tri-tip because it's kind of triangular in shape.
好，各位可以看得到哈，这一块肉实际上它有一个三角的形状，然后有分别的这个角尖，所以它的英文名字就叫 tri-tip。
And you can kind of see on this cut here and up there on the slide is that when you have this point here on the end, that you want to kind of trace the muscle fibers to decide on how you want to slice that and how you want to cut it.
各位可以从这个幻灯片里面找到第一个，它的角尖尖在什么地方，就是那条蓝线指的地方，然后可以看到肌肉的走向，它从蓝色尖肌肉走向是一个很平均的一个走向，所以呢，根据这个肌肉的走向，各位就可以决定到底我要怎么样来分切这块肉。
And so if you kind of draw an imaginary line like the yellow dotted line down the middle there, basically right here in the center of this cut going to the tip, you can see that the muscle fibers kind of fan out to some degree from this point.
好，从黄线大家可以看得到，从黄线的地方呢，就看得到肌肉纤维的走向。它有很明显的两个方向，在黄线的下方跟黄线的上方，它肌肉的走向是不一样的。
If you'll move the slide one more forward there. So you've got this long tip here, and for the most part on that long tip, the muscle fibers all just run straight down it. And so you can pretty much slice across the grain from that long tip.
好，
go ahead.
Go ahead. 好，各位可以看到，在黄线的上方，肌肉的走向就是蓝色的这个条线的走向。所以呢，你把它拿来以后，就是把肌肉的纤维走向，利用切断的方式来切断这个肌肉，就像现在这个 Dr. Arps 示范的。
And so on this long tip, you can really just cut that into nice little portion cut steaks that get progressively bigger at about 2 to 3 centimeters.
那这个时候你就可以把它类似像牛排一样的切法，每一块切大概2到3公分它的这个厚度。
But once you start to work your way up, if you hit the slide forward just once there,
下一张。
You can see that the muscle fibers kind of shift direction a little bit. And so where you were slicing on this cut end, now you kind of have to rotate your cut about 45 degrees to the left, so now you can kind of realign with those muscle fibers.
好了，你切的靠近那条黄色的虚线以后，你就会发现肌肉的走向改变了。所以这个时候呢，你要把肉转一个45度角。然后同样的用这种方式把肌肉的纤维切断。
So cutting it that thick, you can get 4 nice little tri-tip steaks. You can see they're kind of oblong. There's really good marbling in that. Looks really nice and is going to provide a lot of really delicious, good beef flavor.
好，你看到我们现在有4块这个嫩角尖切出来的这个牛排。那很漂亮的，里面有很棒的这个雪花这个腰眼里面有很多很好的这个肌肉内的脂肪。
Okay, and then like I mentioned before, you end up having to kind of rotate that muscle
啊，就像我刚刚讲的，现在我们转一个角度，把剩下来的这个继续把它切成类似牛排的方式。
And then you can get some bigger, longer tri-tip steaks off of this big pointed end there.
啊，那切出来的话就是很漂亮的这个嫩角尖的牛排，你看看里面的这个霜降。
Okay, so we can see that, yeah, 2 really nice tri-tip steaks there, a lot of good marbling in that, and just going to have an excellent amount of beef flavor in that.
有很多的霜降，然后呢，就是因为这样的，所以它有超级好的味道。
And so we'll just trim this second one up real quick here.
那我现在很快的把另外一个再做一次示范给各位参考。
And this is also a muscle that, because it's fairly tender, it's because it's got such good marbling, this is also one that you could also use as kind of a thin slice application. So if you want to use it for more of like a Japanese type barbecue, it certainly works well for that just as much as it does for a steak or roasting it as a whole muscle.
所以这一块肉呢很嫩，里面又有很好的霜降。所以你可以用各种不同的方式，可以用切薄片的方式，可以整块鸡肉处理的方式，或者刚刚示范的把它切成牛排的方式都可以。
In the U.S., really, probably the most common way you see it merchandised at restaurants is going to be that whole muscle kind of roasted, and then they will, after you cook the whole muscle, then you typically you slice it after that and serve it on like a sandwich or something like that.
在美国的餐厅，各位可能他们最多的准备的方法就是整块鸡肉去烤，烤完了以后呢，切成薄片，然后呢配合三明治，把它放在三明治里面，做成烤牛肉的三明治。
And like I mentioned before, this is an extremely good value muscle. It only sells wholesale for somewhere around $3.50 per pound, and just with the amount of eating quality, it's really growing in popularity all across the United States.
所以我们套一句台湾人讲的话，这是一个 CP 值极高的牛肉，因为它每一磅的价钱才3块多美金。那相对的呢，从它的这个肉来讲，你可以得到很大的一个好处。
Really, the popularity of the tri-tip started in California. It was something that you probably saw on menus across the California coast for quite a while, and it's just now kind of starting to spread to other parts of the United States because everybody realizes how good it is.
最早是从加州开始，加州流行来，然后现在呢，慢慢的、渐渐的它变得美国其他的地方也开始喜欢这个沙朗嫩角尖这块肉。
Okay. So like I said, very minimal input. You just have to trim it up, get most of that surface fat off of there, and it's something that you can marinate. You could put a dry rub on the outside. You could season it just with salt and pepper, and it's going to be delicious. And a lot of different ways that you can cook and prepare it.
好，那这是整块的肉。这整块的肉，各位可以看到，我刚刚只花了一点点的时间就把表面清理干净了。那你准备的方法，你可以用湿腌的方法，可以用腌它，或者呢用干腌的，撒盐撒香料，然后就放在烤箱里面烤，很好很好的一块肉。